Queen's son shares what Charles and Camilla have for breakfast every day. The Queen's son, Tom Parker Bowles, has revealed what she has for breakfast, and it depends on the time of year. The food critic and writer, 49, was speaking about his new cookbook, Cooking and the Crown, which details the history of food within the royal family. It covers from the reign of Queen Victoria beginning in 1837, and Edward VII at the turn of the century, to Charles and Camilla. While lunch and dinner in Queen Victoria's time would be 10 to 12 courses, things have changed somewhat. Unlike aristocratic breakfasts of Victorian and Edwardian times where the spreads were full-on gastronomic assaults, gut-busting epics that set one up for a good old-fashioned day's hunting, shooting and roystering, as Mr. Parker Bowles writes, the current reigning royalty eat much more simply, and healthily in the morning. Tastes have changed. Hello viewers, please remember to subscribe and click on the notifications bell icon, so you will be notified whenever we upload new cookies about the British royal family. During the colder months, Camilla eats a bowl of porridge every day, a recipe for which you'll find in the book, made with Scottish porridge oats, full-fat milk, a pinch of salt and honey, her own honey, that is, from hives at the house she owns in Wiltshire. In summer, it's yoghurt. According to Mr. Parker Bowles, her lunches are light too, often the chicken broth, another recipe detailed in the book, or smoked salmon, while Charles famously doesn't eat lunch at all, but eats dried fruit and honey for breakfast, and enjoys mutton very much. Afternoon tea has always been a spectacle and an important and substantial meal in itself for the royals, although Mr. Parker Bowles insists he's never been invited for tea at Buckingham Palace. Everyone congregates for tea, he said. And it's not just cakes and biscuits and crumpets and sandwiches, but you might even get poached eggs. It really is a hearty mid-afternoon meal. If you are staying in Scotland, it's quite dangerous, because you have a cooked breakfast, you have lunch, you have tea and you have dinner. With Charles and Camilla, it's still a 5 p.m. ritual, where we all gather together around a round table in the drawing room at Birkhall, after an afternoon spent outside, mushroom hunting, or in my case, buying second-hand cookbooks. Mr. Parker Bowles writes in the book, indeed, he has a cookbook collection of 4,000. Extracted from Cooking and the Crown by Tom Parker Bowles, published in hardback by Astor, priced £30. Available September 26. King Charles has the most surprisingly frugal mealtime rule. Queen Camilla's son gave a peek into dinner with the royals. It's easy to imagine that King Charles's life is full of luxury and excess, but even with rumors of him being known as the pampered prince before he ascended to the throne, things have apparently changed behind the golden gates of Buckingham Palace. According to Queen Camilla's son, food critic and author Tom Parker Bowles, the monarch has a strict rule when it comes to mealtime, and it's not about caviar or champagne. Apparently, Charles won't stand for wasting food, and requests that any leftovers get served the next day or used again in another meal. There is no waste, everything is recycled, everything is used from the table, Parker Bowles told the Mirror. If anything is left over from the dinner, that will be made into something else or appear the next day. Nothing's allowed to be thrown out. The Mirror notes that last year, Charles established the Coronation Food Project, which works to lift people out of food insecurity and reduce food waste. It's not the king just paying lip service, he practices what he preaches, Parker Bowles shared, before noting that the king has a fascination with food at every stage, from farm to table. He really is a food hero. To talk to him about the strange varieties of plums or pears or anything else is endlessly fascinating. Parker Bowles also gave some insight into his mother and stepfather's personal connection to the food they eat, saying that they're deeply competitive when foraging for mushrooms when they're at Balmoral. They're both very keen mycologists, and both know their mushrooms very, very well. This time of year, depending on rain, there's seps and chanterelles, he said. I go with my mother and there's a lot of fantastic mushrooming in Scotland. It's a shared pleasure. King Charles, set to ban historic word during upcoming royal tour. King Charles is set to ban a historic word during his upcoming royal tour with Queen Camilla, it has been claimed. The term walkabout will not be used on the King and Queen's tour of Australia and Samoa out of respect for Australia's indigenous communities. The phrase, coined by Queen Elizabeth II 54 years ago, is set to be replaced with opportunity to meet the public, out of respect for the customs and traditions of Aboriginal communities. The term has come to mean a member of the royal family meeting, and greeting well-wishers. However, it is used in Aboriginal culture when a person travels on foot into the bush in times of ritual, meditation, change, grief or coming of age. Therefore, the phrase will not be used by Buckingham Palace during the October trip, the first long-haul tour undertaken by the King since his diagnosis with cancer, according to reports in the Telegraph. This tour is understood to be the first trip where the term has been deliberately avoided. It will be Charles's first return to Australia and Samoa as King and the head of the Commonwealth. The tour has been adapted in line with doctors' advice, Buckingham Palace has confirmed. The 9-day visit will factor in some rest periods after the long-haul travel, and will not include any evening engagements in Australia. The King, who is receiving treatment for cancer at the age of 75, will undertake several engagements relating to the disease. Meanwhile, Queen Camilla, 77, will attend events for her key causes of preventing violence against women, and promoting literacy. Engagements will focus on acknowledging and honoring Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island culture and traditions. The King and Queen will attend a community barbecue, a staple of Australian culture, in Western Sydney, as well as learn about bushfire prevention and native plants. The tour was originally intended to include New Zealand, however, it was scaled back on medical advice. A Buckingham Palace spokesman said, "We've had to, as you would with any visit, think about how you can ensure Their Majesty's energies are preserved to be at their best." There had been some hope earlier in the year for Their Majesties to be able to visit New Zealand. On doctors' advice, and in close consultation with the Australian and New Zealand governments, that wasn't able to take place. We've had to make some difficult decisions about the programme with the Australian government, about where Their Majesties can get to. In other news, the King is spending a quiet weekend in Royal Deeside to mark the second anniversary of his mother's death on Sunday. Queen Elizabeth passed away at Balmoral on September 8, 2022. According to Richard Eden, the Daily Mail's well-connected society diarist, the medical team are also staying at the estate for a meeting to discuss all health matters relating to the royal family. A medical source said, "It's an important get-together." Thanks for watching, please don't forget to like this video and drop comments, and most importantly don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything.